Hi, it's Lucy from Repro again, and today I wanted to make a video about how to make a vintage reproduction styled outfit on a budget. Sometimes you don't always have the money to go out and buy the latest dress, and sometimes you want to go to an event and know that you're going to wear something that's entirely unique. You don't need to be able to sew, and you don't need any particular special skills to be able to do this. So the first thing that you're going to need is a dress. So I picked up a dress from a charity shop. So this dress is most likely 80s. It's got an elasticated waist, and it buttons all the way through the front. What I liked about this dress, and what I'd say if you're trying to find something in a charity shop that you can make into a vintage reproduction style, is look at the reproduction that you like, the companies that you know, and that you like the style of their stuff, and then pick out the key features. So for me, I really like collars on dresses, and the check print is very 50s. And this dress has also got pockets, which I always really appreciate. So just have a look and see what kind of style dress you would like. This dress comes down to my knee, but on the hanger it doesn't really look like much. So first of all, find the basis for your outfit. The second thing that you're going to need is some patches. So these style iron-on patches that you can get very, very cheaply on eBay. They're usually free postage. I've got some musical notes there, some little anchors, I don't know if you can see, and a naughty little naked lady as well. You can also pick those up at car boot sales and charity shops. If you are buying older ones, just be aware that you might have to do a little bit of sewing because the glue might actually be quite old. And then the rest of the outfit is really accessories, and it's how you accessorise it that makes it really look that reproduction vintage style. So all you're going to do, it's really simple, is to take your dress, and the first thing to do is to decide exactly where you're going to put your patches on your dress. So you'll know from vintage reproduction brands, it's very popular to have patches on dresses. You could do it on cardigans, on skirts, you could even do it on things that you already own. The thing about deciding the placement, if you're not at all skilled with sewing, you don't want to do any measuring, is to use the features of the dress as your guide. So for example, collars, hems or pockets can show you where to put them so that you're getting everything equal if you're doing the same pattern on both sides or the same design. For this dress, I'm actually going to do something that is only on one side of the dress, but you could put them anywhere. I generally wear cardigans, so there's no point in me putting anything on the top half of this dress because it will probably be covered up most of the time. So I'm actually going to use the pocket as a guide to have a design right here on the front of the dress. So if you lay your dress onto the ironing board, you can see here I've got the pocket just here, so I'm using that as my guide as to where I want to put my patches. Just remember which way up you're working, so the bottom of the dress is at this end of the ironing board, just so that you don't put anything upside down, because it's actually quite easy to do. You want to get your iron really nice and hot. You're not going to be putting the iron directly on the dress, you're going to be laying something over the top of it so that the glue heats up, but so that you don't burn the dress. So all you need to do is then really decide on the placement and make sure that you're really happy. If you're not sure, you could always put the dress on and pin the patches to where you think you might like them to go, and then you can move them around as much as you want then. So I've actually decided to use my little cocktail lady, my little naughty cocktail lady, and the musical notes as well. Like I said, I'm only doing a design on one side of the dress today, but you can buy these in pairs as well if you wanted to have it something more equal, maybe a couple of swallows. Anything that's got that kind of rockabilly type look for this type of style of dress would do quite well at any kind of event where that's relevant. So you just decide exactly where you want them to go. So I'm quite happy with where my patches are now, but what you do need to do, obviously, as I said, is cover the dress so that you don't burn the dress. You could use a really thin tea towel or a really thin bath towel for that. I'm actually going to use a vintage sheet that I've got because it's very thin cotton. It will just protect the dress enough for the heat to get through to the glue. So I've got this very attractive, lovely vintage sheet. Now my advice would be, even though you've laid out your design, to do them one at a time, just to be sure that you're not going wrong at any point, because it's so much harder to take them off than it is just to put them on one at a time. So just lay your sheet over the top of your design. And you just want to hold your iron over the top of it. You don't really need to rub and start moving it around. It might start moving the motif around underneath. So that's stuck down really, really nicely. I can actually feel all the edges are stuck down as well. The edges, especially for designs that are very intricate, you just want to check that those edges have stuck down. So now I can stick on my second one. And that one's stuck down really nicely too, so we're halfway to putting together our vintage rockabilly outfit. Now you don't want to start straight away starting to try and put your outfit together. You want to leave them to cool down for a bit, because otherwise the glue might start to move around and you might actually ruin the work that you've put in so far. And so there is the dress on. The patches have cooled down and I think they look really good in the placement where I've put them. They're right by the pocket. And they can also be seen quite clearly from the front. If you have them too much on the sides, it's not really going to have the same effect. So in terms of making this look like more of a rockabilly look, because it still just looks like a bit of a granny-ish dress, the things that you want to use are accessories. That's what really gives it that vintage rockabilly kind of style. The first thing and the most important thing for any dress that you buy that's got a big enough, full enough skirt will be a petticoat. Now I got mine on eBay, so I got it very cheaply. You don't have to spend a fortune. There are better ones and some that are not so good. I'll try and find out the seller of these ones and link it below. It's got an elasticated waist and it's also lined, and you definitely want to get a lined one, especially if you're buying cheaper, because this material is really nice and scratchy, and you don't really want that against your legs. So putting on a petticoat will change the shape of the dress, and that's really what will give it the real rockabilly kind of style look. So I've put on my petticoat and you can see it's made a much fuller look to the dress. So the shape of the dress has now changed to more of that rockabilly style, but also the accessories that you could add to finish the look off entirely. So you might want to add a waist belt, which this will cover up the elasticated waist on the dress if your dress has one, which I'm not a fan of really having on show. And then you can see it adds a bit of the rockabilly red, the kind of traditional red, white and blue to the look. And I've also got this plastic beaded necklace. Belts and necklaces, jewellery of any kind really, I pick up mainly in charity shops and at car boot sales. I don't really buy a lot of reproduction stuff. Again, I'm normally working to a bit of a budget, so I don't like to spend too much. Now I wouldn't normally wear my long sleeve t-shirt under this, but it's quite cold today. What I would do if I wasn't going to have bare arms with a short sleeve dress is that I would add a cardigan. I'll just get rid of the belt. So I've got, again, rockabilly red to kind of set the whole look off, and I would normally just pop this on. And you could wear it open, but it might distract a little bit, if it's, especially if it's longer from where you've put your patches. Depends on where you've put them. But I love to tie my cardigans up to give it kind of like a real preppy sort of a look. And so for days when it's not so warm, that's what I would generally do. If I'm going to kind of 50s event where I want a novelty rockabilly look. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and I will be doing some more videos in the coming weeks. I've got some clothing hauls, I've got some more ideas on a vintage wardrobe on a budget. So until next time, take care. Thank you for watching.